man. Welcome to another episode of the Rick and Reese podcast. You already know, man, it's your boy Reese. I'm sitting across from the greatest co-host on the planet, Rick Jones.
Oh, Reese, man, you're far too kind. Man, listen, we recognize you can be tuned into anybody in the world right now, but you tapped into the Rick and Reese podcast, and you already know. We appreciate that.
Yeah. What up,
What's
man?
What's going on?
Listen, I'm super excited, man. Today, we got an amazing guest with us.
Yes, sir.
And, you know, for me, man, it's always good, man, because sometimes I just get tired of dealing with you.
You see how this guy is, man.
Accessory.
Right.
Sure, I got this. I understand my role in the podcast.
Man, we got the president of D.A.D.S University and the founder of the Fatherhood Expo, Michael Hardgrove. Man, welcome to the Rick and Reese podcast.
It's your boy. Can I say, is that copywritten? I'll pay you. I'll make it.
No, you good.
Talk to our lawyers.
Okay, yeah.
You good.
But no, it's, my name is Michael, the Ambassador Hardgrove, kind of a moniker, if you will, kind of the community has given me over the years. Mm-hmm. And just what wasn't said is, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a servant, like literally in this order.
That's
and
good.
Then I'm the founder of D.A.D.S Enterprises. And under those umbrellas, we have D.A.D.S University, the Fatherhood Expo, D.A.D.S Financial Legacy Group, So think of D.A.D.S Enterprises as like Johnson & Johnson. That's what we really are building to be. Okay. And so when you think baby powder, you think what? Johnson & Johnson.
Yes.
But when you think about fatherhood, who do you think about?
D.A.D.S.
Well, okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm sorry, God the Father. My fault, sir. It's all you. Don't smite me.
Don't take none of that.
I ain't trying to get no whooping on live air. That would be embarrassing. But yeah, so D.A.D.S Enterprises as a whole is really the parent company. And under that, we're a social enterprise, right? We have nonprofit arms, for-profit arms. But under that, really our goal is to create programs, products, or services that help you as a father create the best possible parenting environment. So we're not a program, we're not a social service. We literally are in the business of fatherhood. And so D.A.D.S University is just education platform, where you can, instead of going to Franklin or Ohio State, which they may not have parenting classes at all.
That's good.
You can come to D.A.D.S University. Or, hey, if you want to come to, instead of going to the Arnold it just focuses on sports, it's an amazing event. Where can you go with an Arnold scale and get the same resources? That's what the expo is. It's the Arnold for dads. It's just about parent education, parent enrichment. So again, when I say the Johnson & Johnson, it really is just, that's the brand, that's the ministry, that's the marketplace ministry.
Okay.
And then we say, hey, what does the marketplace need, i.e. dads, that's our target market, to be a better dad? To be a new dad, like maybe you need to talk to somebody or read something or go to a class. It's like, hey, I don't have a child right now. Like, how much is daycare every week?
Right.
Like that's a little finance class, like pre-baby. Like, what does my budget need to be pre-baby? But what platforms do we have currently? At least we haven't found them.
Right.
That really prepare you, pre-prepare you, line up with you while you're in the midst. And then when you're trying to pass it on, like, hey, I'm a granddad. Like, how do God bless me with this amazing life. How do I pass this down? So again, the platform is there, and then the market tells us what's needed.
So tell me this: what birthed all of this? Where did this passion come from?
All right, so you know how
we digging deep now. We dig deep.
Sometimes people go to church and they backslide, right?
Uh-oh.
I'm just keeping it.
Do they still
say 100?
100? Yeah.
See, I'm sorry.
He more hip than he putting off. He more hip than.
So I'm an old dad. So sometimes I say stuff and my daughter be like, God, you so corny, dad. So I just remember that when she was 12, 13, like they don't say that anymore. But you literally just said it last week.
Well, they keeping you hip. I can see that,
so,
man. 100.
So to keep it 100, I was, I believed in God, but I wasn't walking in that belief. And so at the time, I had a child. I wasn't married. Now, you know what happens. Lord, I promise I'll never sleep around again and do this if you just take this situation away, because it was extremely volatile. And it was volatile because my daughter's mom chose wrong, and then I chose wrong, because we were two broken people when we came together. So I was like, you know what? I don't want my daughter to pay for the mistake I made. I can only count for myself. I can only count for my choice. So I was like, Lord, if you just take this away, I promise I'll be good. So I went back to church. I was at New Birth in particular at the time. And I was just looking for resources, you know. And the day my daughter was born, I was there, held her in my arms. Never forget, like this is when she could still fit with her head. I don't know if you dads remember this one. Her head is right here. Booty's right here. Legs are this way. I looked at her. I was like, you will not be a stereotype or statistic, you know. And as I was dealing with my own father wounds, I was also dealing with that myself, my own mother wounds. And so kind of fast forward 1.5 years into my parenting, my daughter, as of 4.5 months, she lived in Cleveland with her mom. So I was now trying to co-parent from 2.5 hours away.
Wow.
Again, with the very volatile situation. So every barrier that could be there was there. You know, it's not like I could just go pick her up from school. And so I was like, man, there's got to be something. So I checked these 4 things, and I'll be very quick. I checked the government. Well, I couldn't get any government assistance, even though I was worked for a company at the time, because I was unmarried. And in Ohio, if you're unmarried, you have no parental rights. So you have to establish paternity. You can either go on Maury Povich, you can get a DNA test, do something else. I don't know if y'all caught that. Or you can go, say child support, they can do DNA testing, or you can sign what's called a parental affidavit. So typically when a child is born at the hospital, you sign, well, people say sign a birth certificate. You don't sign a birth certificate. You sign a parental affidavit. It's just simply saying, I legally attest that I'm the father of this child, without DNA or anything like that. So legally, I had at least established paternity at that point. And then as a result, the child support order could be established. But that's the only thing legally that could be established. But I had no other rights. And so because I had no rights, legally I had no dependents.
Wow.
So I can't get Section 8, even though I need at least a 2-bedroom with baby girl after she grows. And even though income-wise I was eligible for it, dependent-wise I wasn't. So I couldn't go to the government. So then I was like, you know, let me check my job. Well, I work for a financial service company, and it was a great company to work for, but, you know, they're in the financial service business. They weren't in the single parent going through issues business. So they had very limited parental leave, like a week. I was glad that they have it because most companies don't, but I at least had a week. You know, other things I look for was like, well, you know, do they have like any daycare or any employee network groups? And they didn't. So I was like, really couldn't check my job. And I was kind of reluctant to bring all that drama into my job anyway.
Right.
So I didn't ask about counseling services and stuff that they had at work. So I was like, all right, well, let me check nonprofits. There's got to be a nonprofit somewhere. So my mind just naturally is more enterprising in nature. So I was like, let me go to the top. So I went to United Way, and this isn't a knock on any of these organizations, but I went to United Way. And at the time in 2004, they were not funding any fatherhood programs. I was like, all right, let's check the Columbus Foundation. They got tons of money, resources. They weren't funding any.
Wow.
So, all right, so I checked government, no go. Corporate, no go. Nonprofit, no go. Then I was like, man, let me go back to church. Lord, please, you know, some dudes, Lord, if you just take this drama away, I promise, you know. So I was on that. I was on, just to say on one. So I was on one. So I was like, Lord, I promise you. So I went back. But when I went back to church, what kind of hit me again was that they actually didn't have any fatherhood ministries like that melded or merged the spiritual aspect of being a father, the understanding of it, and really practically walking you through what that is like. No classes on like changing a diaper. Like I had a little girl. So I'm not a little girl, nor have I ever been. So changing her diaper is different than little boys. Now, yes, I knew how because I had 5 sisters, no brothers, and now a daughter, no sons. So I at least knew, but there were so many dads that like, for the first 2 years, they don't even touch the baby because they feel like I'm violating that baby. So I realized like, man, we need some practical stuff.
That's good.
So when it wasn't there, and we're talking about large churches, small churches, and again, you know the men's ministries aren't as prolific, let's just say, as even, I mean, sometimes hair braiding ministries at church are more prolific than the men's ministries, you know, liturgical women's ministries in particular. So here I was just like, man, I'm stuck. So I just started a support group. Like I just needed somebody to talk to, man. I was going through it. personally, I was taking myself through it, but beating myself up, shame, all the usual suspects when it comes to negativity. And then also too, even though I was going through it, I was like, man, I still had the fervor to do something. I just couldn't find it. So I started a support group, basically 3 dads like us. I was the single father, unmarried. Then we had another father who was married, got divorced, had 2 kids. Then he married someone with children. So a super blended family.
Yeah.
But they found ways to work it out. Then the third dad, he and his wife got pregnant on their honeymoon.
Wow.
And it was not cool. He was like, man, this is a blow we did not expect. We didn't expect to have children for 3 to 5 years. Financially, we hadn't thought about it anywhere in our purview. Now, we all know what happened.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't have gone to Jamaica. Maybe just gone to Hocking Hills. Maybe I don't know. Maybe where you went.
Might have panned
You
out a
know
little
what I'm saying?
different.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, my wife planned that too. 2 years after marriage, that's when we.
Yeah.
And it worked out too.
I didn't plan. I didn't have any plans.
Yeah.
Mine just kept happening.
Yeah. See, Reese was young and he had 2 kids and I ain't have no kids. So I was free when I came around and he was looking at me with his kids hanging on his shoulder.
He got disposable income. He can sleep in on Saturdays. This guy right here.
He's coming to the Christmas parties with gifts for the whole house. I'm looking like,
see, you know what? That young father needed you.
Yeah.
He needed your organization.
yeah,
But
no,
see,
100%.
and that's the thing, man. We're not even an organization, man. We literally are a marketplace ministry. We're faith-based by walk, but not by legal entity status. Because not everybody is church, not everybody's religious, not everybody's spiritual. But there's a gang of guys that are fathers.
So you told me you wasn't a pastor, so now you're calling it a ministry. So who's the CEO of this ministry?
Jesus. God is the founder because it's a fatherhood organization. So, I mean, it literally is.
Ladies and gentlemen, we made a mistake. This is Pastor Hardgrove.
Listen.
Right?
Man, I'm just trying to do a little good neighborhood.
He said it's not an organization. It's a ministry.
It's a marketplace.
Pastor Hardgrove,
I said marketplace.
You got it.
I didn't say church. We got a long church name. It's Church of the Apostolic.
Right.
But no, I mean, really, at the end of the day, just in all seriousness, fellas, it really was just, I'm just a dad, man, trying not to, again, have my daughter be a stereotype or statistic. In the midst of me trying to heal and work through my own brokenness, right? When you had 2 broken people, there's no amount of church that will work, spirit that will work if one person is healed spiritually and the other person isn't.
Right.
So you're always going to be going through hell. You can't litigate brokenness. You can go to court back and forth for child support and parental rights and all this stuff. You can't litigate brokenness. All you can hope to do is be accountable for you and say, hey, with the gifts, blessings, healing that God has given me, how do I navigate? Right? Because I made a choice to expose myself to the situation. And again, your goal is to not make your children pay for those mistakes. So that's what the generational curse comes in, where is you don't set them up to be free of your choice, if that makes sense. That's how you break a curse. It's independently make sure that they have their own independent spirit and healing, their own independent thoughts. But in spite of my testimony, I'm still obedient.
Absolutely.
So how did the expo, how did this annual Fatherhood Expo get birthed out of, what you were saying about dads?
So let me ask you this. It goes back to creating programs, products, or services. So as a single dad, in 10 seconds, if I said to you, hey, I just had a baby, where should I go to get dad stuff?
Man, that's a good question. But you know what I would tell him when you say dad stuff, what you mean by that?
Fatherhood stuff. I got a baby.
Yeah.
Literally just pooped in their pants like 5 minutes ago.
Right.
And I've never changed a diaper before. This is my first weekend with him. Hey, bro, where do I go?
I mean, with the information that I know
or
now,
dad
I'm
stuff.
going to tell you, and it's probably cheating, but I'm going to tell you, I got a guy named Michael Hardgrove. He got Dad's University.
I'm like this. Do you got any aunts?
I'm equipped now. I'm equipped.
Right?
I'm searching for a woman.
Right, no, but
That's
if I
real.
need,
That's reality.
But if I
though.
need diapers, I need wipes, and I literally have never really paid attention to it, like where to get it. Like I would ask you, like, what do I need to get? I got the baby this weekend.
Right.
This is my first weekend. I just got we don't call it visitation. I just got my parenting time when the child is physically with you. Hey, bro, what's my checklist? Where do I get all this stuff from? What would you tell me?
You know, You know, when I was a young father, I used to go to Myers all the time.
Okay, so that's your answer.
Walmart.
Myers.
Yeah, Myers.
Walmart.
Right?
Yep.
But when you go to that store, is there really a section specifically that says, hey, dads, here's your section. Here's your power pack, empowerment pack. This is your checklist. That's not what they do.
Right.
No,
But it would
not
have
at
been
all.
nice if they had it. Where if you're a dad, this is your kit. Boom. Go in there. Imagine if you bought a bag of stuff. This is your dad's empowerment kit. So
I love it.
What is the expo? The expo is the Target for fathers. Like, it's your one-stop shop. So some people like Target for whatever. Some people like Walmart.
Right.
Target. So I use the term, we're the Target of that. It's easy to shop at. You go to this event at least once a year and say, hey, when you come here, you can go to this aisle. It could be the man cave aisle. The man cave aisle at the expo is anything that's men related, like any kind of men products. It could be your personal stuff, your shaving or whatever. They didn't even say, hey, if you go to the enrichment aisle, that's where you can get your job resources. You see what I'm saying? So the purpose of the expo was that at the time, I couldn't afford to buy a space and start a Walmart business. But there's so many dads asking the same question I just asked you. So I said, what if we had an event that at least once a year you can go kind of a one-stop shop and get as much of your dad's stuff as possible? That's the expo. Like, it literally is just a vendor and resource fair on steroids. We call it pizza with vegetables.
Wow.
The pizza is, hey, you come, bouncy houses, cool stuff, giveaways. The vegetables is, hey, I'm a dad, I don't have my right to stop. There's attorneys here that I can talk to that day. While my kids are bouncing, look, and I'm bouncing to, did I use that right? I'm bouncing to the lawyer table and getting this quick information. So after Father's Day, I can give you a call, set up this appointment. Oh, I need to go to the prayer booth.
Wow. Wow.
I'm not affiliated with a church, but I know I need some prayer. I need somebody to talk to. So I'll come to the expo, or I'll come to the prayer hour. I'll come to you see what I'm saying? That's the expo. That's literally what it is. Just a vendor resource. It's a church picnic on steroids. If the faith-based community wants to go, that's the best way to describe it. It's like the Target for dads. It's like Target opened up a specialty shop or a pop-up.
I love it.
Does that make sense?
I love it. That's dope.
It's funny
That's dope.
that you say, you know what I mean? Like, I fit that mold, and we laughed about it earlier, but when my daughter was first born, her mom was going out of town. We weren't together at the time. It's my wife now, but we weren't together at the time. And so she was going out of town. My daughter was 4 months old, but I had never, like, this is my first kid. I never babysit any of my nieces, nephews, nothing, never changed the diaper. And I spent the whole weekend, well, the first day of the weekend, and I'm calling my mom. She left powder milk over here. Like, so what do I do? So she's walking me through how to make a bottle.
Right.
I got these diapers. And so it got to the point where my mom had to come over, because the phone call, I just kept calling her about every single thing, just to his point, because I didn't know nothing about nothing. Yeah. And there was no blueprint to it. Right. Nobody could help me. And I was his roommate at the time. We were roommates, and he wasn't no help, obviously. So
he's like, look, I'm enjoying my disposable income.
His kids come home, I leave.
Every single time.
I ain't got to be. I ain't
He was like, Reese, you good? Yeah, I'm about to go ahead and get on out of here.
You know, it's like, I know married men can benefit from this, but like single men, wow.
Unbelievable.
Right. Wow, that's a crazy solution for them, you know what I mean?
Again, I was only fortunate enough because I had sisters that I've changed the diaper for. Like my biggest gap is like 15 years. My youngest twin sister, they're twins, 15. Had another sister, we were 9 years apart. So, I was at that age where, again, single parent household, crazy stuff sometimes going on. So I was babysitter by kind of default. Like, so whether I liked it or not, I was essentially like, yo, you watching the kids, I got to do this. Mom's working, doing whatever. My 4 younger sisters, dad was there or he's working. So I'm like, hey, I got to watch my sisters. So I at least knew. But imagine if I hadn't, I would have been literally in this space. And also, too, I never did learn how to braid hair. So that's where the university came in. Like, man, I just need to set up somewhere. Might have a cosmetologist just walk me through some plaits. Wow. So these are the things. It's also a launching pad, It's launching pad, new initiatives. Let's say we're doing a city ride prayer for fathers, man. Let's do it at the Expo. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what the platform was for. So if you missed it this year, just know it's an annual event. We're going to be doing stuff throughout the year. But that's what it's about, man. My sisters helped do my little girl's hair when I would have her on the weekends.
Wow.
Mind you, she lived in Cleveland. So I had her 2 weekends out of the month.
Wow.
I got that because I asked for it, and I really petitioned. I originally asked for 3 weekends, and I would do all the driving.
Wow.
Magistrate was like, that don't make no sense.
Yeah.
When both of you created this, how about we do 2, and then y'all figure out the transportation. So those 2 weekends, man, I literally would panic like, man, I hope her mom does her hair, because he didn't want me to touch it.
Right,
'Cause I was,
right.
for whatever reason, the source of, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was like, man, I hope her hair is done, because if I wanted to go out and do anything, I knew I'm going to have to have my sisters touch it and deal with the consequences, but I didn't know how to do it.
What I've learned, man, women do not want nobody touching their daughter's hair, man.
What?
Especially
I'm talking about, man, especially if
it's not, if it's a new significant other.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Oh, I'm talking about it could be some domestic violence that jump
No, I
off.
lived that because I got my daughter's hair, like pressed, silky, looked amazing, unbelievable.
Oh,
Dropped her
man.
off. Who did her hair? Who did it to her hair? Now y'all go in the house.
Is that when I picked you up from
I'm
downtown?
sitting out there. Is that
Bad boys, bad boys.
That's what really
What you
happened.
gonna
I
do?
told you it
What
was
you
a
gonna do? when
I
it
told you it was a
comes
traffic
for you?
ticket.
I
It was a
came down there. He
routine
was in the
traffic
back
stop.
of the cruiser, man. So that's what happened. But I praise God for this
Man,
truth.
my wife now went bananas. I'm talking. I'm looking at her, but see, she's short, so I'm holding her off with one hand. It's hilarious, but she's going. She's out of control.
He was holding her off.
Because I'm holding
I don't
her
know
off
if you should say this with
this-
camera,
no,
man. This is
no,
domestic
hey.
violence, man.
It was an NBA tech.
She was
That's all.
domestic. She
He
was
wasn't
domestic. She was domestic. If I ain't love her, if I ain't
Wrestling,
love her, I
just
could
an
have
NBA
had
check.
that's good.
It's a
an
hand check.
check.
NBA
I
hand
like
check.
that. I like
Use that
that
term, brother.
If I ain't love her, I could have had her locked up.
Hey, they do
She
not
was
play
intense.
when it comes to man. So we thank God how you handle it, man.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's one of those things that when you're in a volatile situation, volatility is inevitable. So, daggone if you do, and this is before I was saved, I wouldn't say daggone.
Right.
Daggone if you do, daggone if you don't. You know what I mean? So it's one of those like, hey, I wanted to get some pictures that weekend. I'm just had to deal with it later. You know what I mean?
Right. You just got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell my wife I kept her out of jail too. I'm glad you said that. Like, hey, babe, I kept you out of jail. I spared you. I think we passed the statute of limitation, but I spared you.
The views and notions here of the Rick and Reese show are not indicative of it.
Right.
Should I do that?
Yeah, you did good. You did good. So, man, this expo, is it like an annual thing or?
It is. I know, unfortunately.
How can people
you know
get
why?
to it?
You know why people would miss it this year? Because nobody knows when Father's Day is. Like, I literally poll people constantly. So people that miss it this year is because they didn't know when Father's Day is. And yes, there's marketing and stuff out there, but again, it clearly says what it is. But if it's not on your radar, it's like I would go, but my wife and my kids have something for me to do. Like, this literally is for dads by dads. But the notion of it's not even my day. Everybody else is telling me what we're doing, as opposed to sometimes like, man, this is what I really want. And we created something that we hope is appealing. You say, we just going out to eat. Well, there's food there, But yeah, it's an annual event. We have events throughout the course of the year, because at an expo you can't do everything. Right. I mean, I want to have workshops. But if I'm there kicking it with my kids, or my kids pulling on me to try to get in the bouncy house, I can't tell them, hey, hold on, I need half an hour to go to this workshop. Right. So it's a catalyst to what we do throughout the course of the year. And let me maybe just put a disclosure out there. I'm a Black father. I have a Black daughter. But we're not a Black organization. Just like I said, we're faith-based by walking, not by legal entity status. Because the stuff I was going through was Black adjacent, because bias and different things that was going on.
Right.
But not being able to braid hair is not Black specific. Because I would talk to white dads, Russian dads. So if I asked 90% of the dads, do you not do your little daughter's hair? They was like, no. So I realized, like, man, the common thread isn't everything else, but we usually use to come together.
Right.
Usually it's black, socioeconomic, something, zip codes even. I lived on the west side. None of that makes a difference to us. It's, are you a father? Like, have you created a father, made a choice to be a father figure? Do you have the desire to be a father? And then the third question we asked to qualify you is, what's the vision you have for your family? Now, you may not have an answer to that. You may not even have the desire. We can work on that. We can help you with the healing. You may not have a vision because you never thought about even your own life like that. You know, like what I want to be when I grow up. But these are the three questions. And as long as we can work with you in those three, you're eligible to be a member of D.A.D.S, if that makes sense.
Okay. So tell me this. You're the visionary of the expo. If you can just give us like a virtual, like, tour per se. What can we experience and what are some of the exhibitors that's there set up?
So, at the expo, we had, since it was at Huntington Park, we went out the entire park for the day. We had a celebrity kickball game on the field. That was a blessing. They let us use that.
Celebrity? Celebrity. What you mean? Like, what type of celebrities do you have there?
So it wasn't technically a radio versus radio, but I took it as. So we had Dami Styles from Power 107, if you remember, with DJ Dami Styles.
Okay.
City News.
Yeah.
With 106.7 Beat and iHeart. So they kind of led a team of kind of their guests.
Okay. That's
who were
what's
dads. And man, one dad had 8 children. I'm sorry. One father had 8 children.
That wasn't hip, Dad.
Yes, I was like, good Lord. This stimulus check was off the chain. I gave you that stimulus. So I'm sorry. But so that was an activity. So think about it as many activities within the activity. Then we had 360. So imagine the panoramic of doing a 360. If you've ever been on that.
Absolutely.
Huntington as your backdrop.
Wow, that's dope.
You know what I mean? So, like I said, it's basically like your church picnic on steroids. The difference is, instead of you guys going to any park like sometimes you do for a church picnic, imagine scaling that up and doing it at Huntington Park as your backdrop. So, like I said, it's nothing. I'm not downplaying it, but it literally is just a vendor and resource fair.
That's good stuff.
We use a backdrop like Huntington as the carrot, like I said, as the pizza. Like, man, and there's a whole bunch of people I know have never been to Huntington Park. Wow. Don't even know where it was. Like a lot. But that lends itself to, hey, another reason we are very strategic in what we do is we try to put a little paint where it ain't. Right? Especially black folk. A lot of black folk didn't even know where it was. We're talking about people who could afford to go to the games. It just wasn't a thing, or they didn't even know it was there. So that's why we try to do these unique spaces that are very faith-based neutral. Yeah. Very government neutral. You know what I mean? We're not doing it at a facility that are very, corporate. Like corporations love these type of venues. So to say we got something at the rec center versus Huntington Park, it's a little bit easier to say, hey, would you support us? Yeah, because of the scale. So that's just the strategy behind it. I'll give a little bit of the sauce. But
so how can people, how can they contact you? How can they get more information about the expo, D.A.D.S University, all that good stuff?
Yeah, just the umbrella. You go to the number 4, D.A.D.D.S.com. So, black folk love acronyms. So D.A.D.D.S, that's the acronym, D.A.D.S. Okay. Just so you see it, we didn't spell it wrong. It is an acronym. And then for the expo, that's fatherhoodexpo.com. Keep it straight. It's not, like I said, we don't call it D.A.D.S Expo. People tell us that. I'm like, this is a platform that's so much bigger than D.A.D.S Enterprises. This platform has always been so much bigger than Michael Hardgrove. So it's the fatherhoodexpo.com. Follow us on social media. You can find us. And, my name is Michael, the Ambassador Hardgrove. You may see me, Instagram, I am the ambassador. Twitter, I am the ambassador. Just at the end of the day, you don't need to contact me. You just need to contact D.A.D.S as an organization.
I love it.
You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
This is Michael, the Ambassador Hardgrove, and I'm rocking with the Rick and Reese podcast. Stay up.
You're locked into the Rick and Reese podcast. That's another episode, man. We appreciate y'all. You already know, man. Listen, you can find us on all major streaming platforms Amazon Music, Apple, Spotify.
And don't forget about YouTube, brother.
Yep. And you can go to Rick and Reese TV on YouTube, and you can catch the episode there as well. So make sure y'all keep rocking with your boys. What'd you say, Rick?